My name is Lilise. I own Lilise Designer Resale. It's on South Street in Concord, and I am also heavily involved in a bunch of nonprofit boards. I am on the board of directors for In-Town Concord, the Concord Chamber of Commerce, the Concord Young Professional Network, and also the New Hampshire Young Veterans Network. So I try to stay involved as much as I can. I have owned my store for 2.5 years now. I purchased it from a person who founded it in 2011. So that's been one of the more unique aspects of my business, is taking someone else's dream and trying to morph it into my own. So that has presented a lot of unique opportunities because there was so much already established within the business. So really what I did was I just kept the doors open. I took over on June 1st, and there was never a day that the business was closed. We didn't do any remodeling, anything like that. I just kind of took over midair, if you will. So that in and of itself, I think, has been one of the bigger challenges within what I've been doing for the last 2.5 years, is trying to take something that was extremely similar to what I wanted to do. The business is a luxury resale and vintage shop. So we sell designer resale stuff, everything from Chanel to Gap and everything in between, but we also have a really cool collection of quirky vintage things that I've been working on trying to kind of expand as time goes on, because it was sort of a very small portion of the business beforehand. So I work with mostly the female population of Concord and beyond, being mostly women's store. And so for me, it's really interesting to connect with that aspect of the community and try and constantly be thinking of new ways to connect with that. For me, being involved in the nonprofit world, that's a way that I've been able to kind of meld the two together and kind of combine both what I want to do in my life for fun, which is give back and volunteer, but also to find ways to strategize marketing opportunities and things. When I hear Jared talking about how you can sponsor this, I'm like, excuse me. So those are kind of things that as an entrepreneur I really had to focus on figuring out kind of smaller ways to keep my business relevant and involved, because when you take over for someone else, I'm sure you can imagine that didn't really come with like a big budget or anything like that. So I am definitely, I make lots of jokes about how I'm just scraping by, but it's more than that. It's about strategizing constantly and trying to figure out ways to get at every market that you're trying to get at without necessarily having the opportunity to just take out a whole one-page ad in a magazine or something like that. Nowadays, print advertising is interesting. There's a lot of people are struggling to get the return on investment that they're really putting into it. It's an expensive means of advertising. So for me, getting involved in the community is another way to advertise my business. And so that's something that I've used to my advantage, both through my nonprofit experience, but also through things like sponsorship and participating in community events and things like that. That's kind of what I was going to talk to you guys about, is just trying to kind of keep everything all together. So for me, being an entrepreneur, I went to school for retailing and fashion merchandising, kind of knowing that I was always going to have a store someday. It was sort of a cash out your IRA retirement, take off your husband plan. But then I was working downtown at another shop and running that for 7.5 years. And I found out that this business was going to be for sale, and it gave me about 2 weeks to strategize how I was going to make all of that happen. And so that was a really scary and interesting time. So I guess I should probably talk to you guys a little bit about trying to start that kind of a thing and the steps that I took. Is anybody like starting a business right now, and like first steps, or are you guys all pretty entrepreneurial at this point?
It's always good to hear.
Yeah, so
about how to start up.
Yeah.
That's such a scary part of it, right?
I think a lot of people really struggle with the idea of
Going
like,
from my concept to
right, yeah, when you kind of externalize your dream and you say, okay, I like this so much that I want other people to support it too. It is kind of an interesting place to be. And so for me, one of the first things that I did is I contacted SCORE. I don't know if people are familiar with that organization. They provide free business mentoring to people in the community. So if that's something that you are looking for, please use them. They are amazing. And so I met with them and sat in a Barnes & Noble for an hour and a half and asked them all of my burning questions, most of which were, can I eat? And they were really amazing and helped me kind of figure out a game plan and helped me figure out what I needed out of my life and how I could get that out of a business and meld the two together and hopefully make that work going forward. And so I was was able to get a new business plan and all of these different things externalized, like you say, instead of in my own head. And so those steps were really kind of important, and it's something that I actually look back on often. So a business plan for me was sort of like the way that some people use vision boards or inspiration boards, and kind of to get the feeling and that ethereal sense of what you want to do and what kind of community you want to collect around your business. And so for me, that was a really, I look at it all the time. I'm constantly opening it up and saying, all right, am I doing what I said I was going to do? How can I adjust that? How can I rewrite sections, no one's checking it, but it's something that helps me stay on my game plan and stay on my kind of, I'm not task-based, it's not a thing that I'm able to do. I think that's why I'm an entrepreneur and work for myself. But it helps me when I need to check in on those things, whether it's, for me, one of my weak points is budgeting. That's not something I'm like excited about. So that's the one thing that I've outsourced, is I have an accountant and a CPA and a tax person, so that I can consult with those types of things, because I think that one of the biggest parts about being an entrepreneur is identifying your weaknesses and your strengths. You have to be honest with yourself. There's stuff that you're not going to be able to do yourself, and there's stuff that you're going to have to ask for help for. And so the better you are at being vulnerable in that sense and saying, hey, I need somebody for this part, it's going to give you more time and more energy to devote yourself to the things you are really passionate about and what make you a great entrepreneur. And so for me, trying to figure all of that out, running a business for 2.5 years that's open 6 days a week, that I'm the only employee for, has been fun. So I have worked a lot, but I've tried to work more efficiently, and that's something that I'm constantly trying to stay focused on, is how I can do everything a little bit better, a little bit faster, so that I don't have to dedicate quite as much time to it the next time around. I feel like I've already talked for like 10 minutes.
You're actually right about on the mark. So.
Pretty good. I feel like I've rambled a bunch. Is there any questions? Or Jerry?
I'll start us off. So you have a big social media following. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering how you use social media and online advertising, and how you've gotten your following on social media, what your approach has been.
Social media was my response to the expensive print advertising. So there was not really a break-in price point for me, especially when I first took over this business, that I could really get some effective print advertising or radio advertising going. And so social media is free. And so for me, that was something that I'm not really, like, I'm in my 30s, so I wouldn't call myself a native user of a lot of these social media aspects. I kind of had to learn a lot as I went. But it became a really easy way for me to get at my audience. And so that's something that I do really consistently now. We use Instagram and Facebook most exclusively, but we're on Twitter, we're on Blogspot, we do a lot of different things. And so that's been a way that I can get myself in people's feeds and faces, if you will, over and over again, and it's been a really nice way to connect with people. It's when you take care to put an authentic message behind that too, it really gets people excited about what you're doing. And as an entrepreneur and as a solo person in what you're doing, the best thing that you can do is just be 100% yourself, especially if you're like me and I'm the only person you're going to see in the store, so you might as well know what I'm like.
So I follow you. I love you.
Thank you.
On social media. I just love it. And one of the things I wanted to know is how much time do you spend, how much time a day do you dedicate to social media? Because it's a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
And do you like interacting back and forth with people? Because I notice you do that sometimes as well, and that makes a difference to the viewer when I notice that you're interacting and caring about somebody.
The amount of time that I spend per day on social media definitely varies greatly. There's times where I could spend probably 3 to 4 hours on social media a day, depending cumulatively, and that's 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there, scrolling through, liking a few things. Some of the strategies that I use in social media are engagement in that sense. So for me, if a customer comments on something, I'm not going to just let it go. Like if you sometimes see on like Instagram feeds, if you're familiar with the app, you'll comment on a business, or you'll see a business or some really popular page post something, and then there's never any replies to the comments. There's going to be a point eventually, and hopefully, that my business reaches where the capacity I can't reply to all of them because there's just so many and I'm so popular. At this point, for me to gain more engagement and to kind of play off of what's already happening, that's something that I do try to make sure that I'm really genuine about. And I do appreciate it. Every comment that I get boosts my engagement, tells the algorithm to show more people my posts. And so those are really important things to the growth of my business at this point. So I'm like all too pleased to be talking to people. But it is like, even on like Instagram stories and stuff, sometimes I'll talk to the camera and just, I do this thing where I remind people to shop local every day. And so I do a daily reminder to shop local. And people really respond well to that because I try to just do it. I joke on one take Charlie. I don't do it a bunch of times and make it all practiced. It's always really like terrible and I'm like laughing at myself and messing up words and stuff. But people do tend to respond to those ones more than the ones that come off just like accidentally okay. And so it's really interesting to see that, again, that authenticity, like there's something that made you do what you're doing, and that's what sets you apart from everyone else. That's what people are looking for. In social media and all of this stuff, it's so easy to look at what someone else is doing and just want to do the same thing. And be like, oh, they posted this, and like I always joke, like especially in the holiday season, there's like it just like feeds out into the community. So I'll say like sparkle and shine this holiday season, and someone says razzle and dazzle this holiday season, and someone else says like sprinkle and mingle, and you're like, wait, what happened? And so it's, again, the people that are reading that, your posts, they're seeing other people's posts too. So if they saw the post that you copied before yours, they know. Whether they absorb that really or not, that's a subconscious thing.
Just staying on the social media thing, are you doing any paid social? And then just to tie into that, how are you measuring your return on investment? Is it driving people into the store?
Yeah.
What are some of the tools you're using?
For me, I do pay for posts occasionally. I try not to do it too much, but there is a thing about Instagram, especially and Facebook, they're owned by the same company, where you kind of have to pay to play a little bit. Like if you don't buy an ad every once in a while, you start to see your engagement go down. If you are on Instagram as a business page, you get what they call insights, and so you can see how many people have seen your post, what that reach was, and you can kind of do some measurables that way. I try not to get too caught up in the metrics of things. I like to do it a little more anecdotal. One of the things I like the most about my business is that people come in, like Tina, and they say, I love your social media. That's what I need. You can put out a survey, you can do all of that stuff, but that's like kind of forcing people to engage with you. If you're doing it well enough that people are just like mentioning it to you in person, that to me is like true success, because that means that it's reaching them without you necessarily having to go that extra step to purchase something. But again, that's why I comment back to people and do those types of things, because that's another way to boost that engagement without paying, because the app itself does want to show the most popular posts. It wants to show what it thinks people find most relevant. So when people are commenting, that tells the algorithm, okay, people find this relevant, they're actually talking about it. And so if you kind of combine those two approaches, I find that's the most successful if you don't have a big budget. Otherwise, just throw $100 behind each post if you can. You had a question?
Do you offer your products online for sale?
Yeah, actually, we are a relatively sort of large small business as far as like square footage and how many items that I have, and being one person, I don't have an online store that I can keep updated with every single thing. But one of the things that I do is actually post something for sale almost every single day. And so that way, like on Monday, it was just kind of like a slow day. It was really windy and gross out. Nobody wanted to go outside. And I ended up selling a couple of things online instead, which was a really good thing. Being a New England community, you kind of have to worry about snow days and things like that when you're a brick and mortar store like I am. So we have a hashtag that we use called Couch Sales with LDR. That was actually born out of my husband begging me to take a snow day. So he said, no one's going to come into your store, just post stuff online and you'll sell stuff. And I was like, I kind of wanted a day off, so I listened to him. And I was like, okay, cool. And so I did it, and it ended up being super successful, and I called it couch sales. Like, I'm on my couch, I'm stuck here, you're on your couch, shop from home, it'll be really fun. And it turned out to be kind of a popular thing that people have really paid attention to, and we've been consistent with that tag, so that way now, if you're at home and you get the itch and I'm not open, you can actually just click on that hashtag, and it'll organize everything for you, and then you can literally shop online.
Two more questions.
Yeah.
How's the location working for you, being on Store Street? You're right next door to Comfort Craft, isn't it? So that in itself must be a draw. No, I don't guess.
It's smelly. Being next to a brewery is another interesting thing when you have a
But how is the
second
location
business.
working for you?
We're a hidden gem, that's for sure. So that's something that I've had to strategize in my marketing as well, because there's definitely been, I've had more than one phone call where people literally are like, I don't know where you are, and I'm like, I can see you. Like I'm waving to you. See that lady waving? Follow her. It definitely is something we use. If you've ever come in between the alley, in between CVS and the Works, you will see long arrow signs pointing you down the alleys to the store. And then if you are on Store Street and you're facing the building, you'll see another sign that I have that directs you all the way around too. So I've had to get pretty creative with that, that's for sure.
And parking?
But I'm future thinking about it because I know that there's going to be expansions on Store Street and stuff like that. So the building that I'm in is from 1865. It's got a lot of really cool history that I love. So I feel like sticking around there and letting everything develop around me will work.
Is the parking working in that area?
Yeah, actually, it stays pretty clear, and customers they figure out how to cheat and go to the Marshall's parking lot. I don't recommend that. I would have known that, but generally speaking, yeah, it's not too bad, and we've got the garage right there too. So I always try to kind of incentivize that, especially because the garage is still free on Saturdays, guys. Hello. And yeah, you guys, the garage is free on Saturdays. So it's just the street parking. So.
The audience, can I ask one more question?
That was the most revolutionary part of the speech, I think.
Is the city of Concord offering you any support, any kind, to promote your business?
Do you mean like specifically,
Well,
or just kind of?
What kind of support are you getting from the city? Because I know that they're very anxious to fill the storefronts. And,
The city itself they just recently hired an economic development person, which was something that was a vacant position for I think 15 years or something previously. And so they've tried to really, especially after the construction, I feel like the city has made a pretty concerted effort to try and, they're not necessarily, to my knowledge at least, doing anything super specific. If they haven't handed me any money or anything, tell them to. But they definitely are trying to figure out ways to get as many people to Main Street as possible. The Greater Concord Chamber of Commerce is doing a great job of that as well. And in Town Concord, which I'm a board member and past president of, their literal mission is to promote and enhance the business environment, cultural activities, and housing of downtown Concord. So they do a lot for that. And so I find that getting involved in those organizations really helps with that too.
Beyond 1 million cups in store, how have you found, and I ask this because before I dived myself into the entrepreneurial realm, I relocated from Boston. How do you find the entrepreneurial community, or women entrepreneurial community too, in New Hampshire, et cetera? Have you found that? Have you been looking for it? Is it happening?
You're in the right place.
Talk a little about that.
Concord is full of female entrepreneurs. Like, look at this room. There's a lot of us. If you walk up and down Main Street, actually, I feel like downtown Concord is like a hub of female entrepreneurship. There are probably the majority of businesses on Main Street are owned and operated by women. So that's one of the things that I like the most about this community. The Concord Young Professional Network, also, I would really get connected with them if you're not already. I think I heard you mention that you know Bree and Nina, though, so I would bet that somebody has sung their song to you already. But that network in itself is full of young entrepreneurs and especially women. It's the Concord Young Professionals Network. They're marketed towards young professionals, but I recommend anybody going there, especially if you're looking to do some hiring. It's a really great group of people to access and some really awesome young entrepreneurs there. But definitely a really female-heavy crowd. So for me, it's as being a downtown business owner, all I have to do is just wander around and like find my friends. But I'm happy to connect you with some people. So please let me know if that's something.
As an investor, I always ask about a business's dream, like where they want to be in however many years. I sort of stop doing that because they get unrealistic. So instead, I'll ask you about, we're a year from now. Right, fast forward just 1 year.
1 year?
Tell me about your business.
Really what I'm looking to do in the next year is just further cement, because I took this business over from someone else, I have been sort of morphing it up to be a little bit more what my true vision is for the business, and also to get what I believe is like the true demographic, the customer base. And so that's been a shift that's been happening for 2.5 years now, where some customers are still with me that have been there since the store opened, and some people are, there's a little bit of like transition with that. And so for me, what I've been focused on is trying to get the right people to come in and to get even more enmeshed in the community as well as a business, not just as a person. I feel like as a human, I've been very into that, but I really would like to be able to sponsor a little bit more as a business and do more like that. But I just want to be more cemented where I am right now, actually. I feel like I'm on a really good trajectory currently, and it seems like every day more people are coming in that are like, I can't believe I didn't know about this place. And so being a hidden gem, and that means that people are discovering me through the social media aspect of things. And so I really want to be able to just put some more time and energy behind that. And also I've been able to work out an agreement with the college that I went to, Southern New Hampshire University, to get some interns. And so for me to have some interns there, that's going to free me up to do the growth that I need to do and to build the business, because that has actually been, I think, what has, I don't want to say limited my growth, but has slowed it considerably, is that I don't have any staff, and so I have to do everything from kicking out the trash to talking to everybody myself.
I'll ask you one more question.
And you're going to be last.
Okay, perfect. So there's a lot of consignment. I love consignment. 80% of what I have on right now is consignment. I believe that it's a great message for the future. Reuse, reduce, recycle. I'm growing my children up that way. How do you partner with the other consignment stores in the area? Do you see them as competition? Do you see them as friendly fire? Like, what do you do? Because I'm sure there are other businesses in here who don't have a singular idea. And how can you promote friendship in the realm of same business?
I'm all about community over competition. I do not see any of the other consignment shops. There's probably 3, maybe even 4. Also right downtown, and I love them all. I shop there, And so for me, everyone has their own niche, and so all I've worried about in that environment is carving out mine and figuring out what my real authentic voice is. And so that way, that kind of self-identifies. But in the resale game and in the thrifting game, I know that for me, I have like a racket that I run. Like there's many stores that I'll hit because it's secondhand, and so you're not exactly sure what you're going to find. You're not exactly positive they're going to have what you need, and so sometimes you do have to shop a little bit longer or look a little bit harder for certain items, but there's just so much out there that exists already. So for me, as a sort of environmental person, I can't, with a good conscience, buy something new when I know there's 1,000 versions of the exact same thing that are out there, and plus I want the vintage one anyway because it's cooler. And so for me, I just try to connect with them and stay in touch with them. If I don't have what someone needs, I recommend the other shops. And so, and that has actually been something that I've gotten in return as well. Like people from, what's in your closet, for example. Rachel's awesome. I love her, and I think that she does a great business. Her business is different than mine, though. The style that her store has and the items that she's prone to carrying do differ from mine. And so for me to say, oh, I don't have that, but you should go check down there, is an easy thing to do. And I think that I can't be the only reason that you come downtown. Like, I hope I am sometimes, but you want to be able to do more than one thing. You don't go down to a downtown to shop at one store necessarily. You kind of want to shop around. And so I like the idea of there being lots and lots of great stuff to do downtown. And so I'm always trying to promote different businesses and get people to linger, because then who knows, maybe they'll think about that jacket that they saw and come back before they go home.
So one more question.
Sorry.
For the last question, always, and this is what we asked both our entrepreneur presenters last week, because the goal is to build our entrepreneurial community, is what can people here do to support you as an entrepreneur and help you be successful?
Come shop.
Shop.
Come shop, tell your friends about us, tell your friends where we are. You know exactly where I am, so I appreciate that. I was expecting everyone to be like, where's Store Street? But yeah, that's really it, is just spread the word. I think that is a referral from a person rather than a Yelp review or an online search is so much more meaningful. The way that people operate today, especially on social media, aren't we all like our own little influencer? We post, I love this drink, I love this restaurant, I love this. When you do that, you're sending a message to your friends that this is a business that I support. If your friends like you and they want to support what you support, then do that. And so for me, that's something that is invaluable. So just
Thank you.
Thanks,
Lilise.
Lilise.